Down 17% in the polls. Let's see how Joe Biden performs in the State of the Union. I'm going to give you the best live reaction you'll ever see on this face of the planet, okay?
Right, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today.
Okay, first of all, you got to tell that the guy has something stuck in the back of his throat. I think his trachea is coated in peanut butter. I don't know what's going on. But you'll also, I mean, it's important while you react to this that you notice what the vice president and the Speaker of the House viscerally react to when it comes to whatever he's saying. And he also is taking the angle that not since the Civil War has democracy been this attacked. Now, that might technically be true, but he's also just basically obfuscating whatever problems he does have, like as president on January 6th. And the problem with that is that it's becoming more of a dead issue as time goes on. People's memories fade. It's been over 3 years at this point. Let's see what he says.
What makes our moment rare is the freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks
selling chaos, what does that even mean?
Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
Okay, but why? Literally how, bro? Wait, hold on. Think about it. No, wait. Let's be logical for a second. Okay, so the same guy who says that he's invading Ukraine and it's been, what, like 2 years of straight war in Ukraine, you think that all of a sudden, if he does win, that he'll, like, go to other countries? You know, if he struggled this much for just one country, you'd think, you know, it'd be a little more difficult going forward. It just doesn't make sense.
But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that it needs to defend itself.
This is a very middling thing. Okay, Joe Biden's approval rating on the Ukraine war conflict is -8%. Now, that's one of his stronger issues by far. I'll give him that. But it really isn't important to rag on about this.
That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now...
Why is he so angry? I think he has eye issues because he's squinting to read the teleprompter, obviously. But, I mean, just look. He looks Japanese. He looks like if his name were Horatio. You know what I mean?
Since Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Now...
Huh? What? That didn't land at all.
Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, do whatever the hell you want. That's a quote. A former president actually said...
That is so appallingly out of context. It's actually freaking nuts. Really? He at some point was quoted as saying, do whatever you want. Okay, but the context was what? Do what you want with what? This is just insane. Like, I actually am surprised he would lie.
That bowing down to a Russian leader, I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
See, that would work if Ukraine were invaded under Trump's watch, but it happened under Biden. So how could you say he backed down from Putin if Putin didn't have the balls to invade? Then, like, you know, any time in the last 8 years until Biden's in power. It really doesn't make sense.
America is a founding member of NATO, the military alliance of democratic nations, created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. We welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined, and their minister is here tonight. Stand up.
Okay, so those are big things, assuming they win the war in Ukraine. Now, again, he's asking for more funding, probably because the Ukrainians are on the back foot. Otherwise, he wouldn't be asking us to pay for their, you know, with our taxpayer money. So it's looking like he's under leverage.
Welcome. And they know how to fight. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen.
A military alliance so strong that they, in fact, have not repelled the Russian invaders for 2 years. Okay.
Say this to Congress. We have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching.
History is watching? That's not how it works. What? History is watching. So the nebulous term, history is watching. What does that mean? Imagine if somebody said the future is watching, or if somebody said the past is watching. I mean, history's watching. That doesn't. And again, he's reading a teleprompter. So unless the speechwriter is that stupid, he must have misread it.
If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. We will not bow down. I will not bow down.
Oh, she's so dead in the face.
In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you are here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy.
Ooh, that was a painful stutter. What the hell was that? Like he was struggling to get it out.
It's a civil war. But they failed. America stood. America stood strong, and democracy prevailed. We must be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that.
So again, was he even talking about January 6th as much a year or two ago? Think about that. I don't think he did. In fact, I don't even remember a single State of the Union from this guy, to be honest. But I mean, I'm pretty sure he's talking about it more than he ever has before. So again, why is he talking about January 6th in 2024 more than he did in 2021 or 2 or 3? It literally doesn't make sense unless he knows that that's the only thing he has over the Republicans, okay? So, I mean, it's like if you had an argument with your wife and she only brings up that one thing you did a couple years ago, I mean, that means that you're winning effectively, because why would you bring out something old unless you had something called nothing, okay? So that trump card, ironically enough, excuse the pun, is just Jan 6th. That's it. What else do they have over the Republicans? Let's see.
This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win. As I've done ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you without regard to party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office is defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections, restore trust in our institutions, and make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place.
Okay, but was there violence really? How many cops died from Jan 6? Like, violently died? Not a single one.
Came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted. Join us.
Okay, so Trump overturned Roe v. Wade, true? Okay, now look at the chaos that has occurred. What are you talking about? What chaos? In fact, in my life, as a guy who is not around abortion, my life has been the exact same, okay? So for this to be something that is like appealing to me personally, it doesn't make sense. Now, somebody else, really, is it really a big deal? I don't know. Also, keep in mind with body language that for him to have the squinting of eyes and like the strained nose ridge is just really disconcerting to people. It's like the dude is about to have a stroke. I don't know what to say.
Tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future.
Oh, whoa. Speaking of abortions, what was that sentence?
And her ability to have children in the future were at risk.
That was not a stutter. Joe Biden, and again, my professor, 80-year-old guy, so I guess he's like defending his homeboy pension gang. Okay, so the octogenarian professor I had last year, he told me, oh, Joe has a stutter since childhood. It's like, bro, first of all, yeah, he had the stutter like 70 years ago, but as a politician in his 50s, he did not have a stutter. Watch the debate he had with Paul Ryan 10 years ago. He did not have a stutter. Now, look, today, oh, it's a stutter. Bro, that was not a stutter. Stutter's like, I'm over here watching the State of the Union. No, but that wasn't it. That wasn't it. That was a...
If she didn't act. Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's happening in too many others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look.
What? What was the phrasing there? Hold on. Huh?
And my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away?
What freedom else would you take away? You would say what other freedom you would take away. So again, he's literally reading the teleprompter incorrectly. I've never seen that before. He's getting the phrases opposite. And it's not even a memory issue of like, well, I didn't recall something from 2 minutes ago. It's I'm not even able to remember how to say something right within a 5-second span. It's actually absurd. I've never seen this before.
Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following. And with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
So he's claiming that the Supreme Court justices posited that women don't have electoral power. Now, I don't think they've ever said that. Why would that even be pertinent to the political case? Sorry, the judicial case about Roe v. Wade. I don't understand that. But what's even more than that, ludicrous that is how he says that, oh, you're going to see. So see that. So he's implying that what's going to be at his behest in 2024 will be people that are salty over Roe being overturned. Look, that is true. The abortion vote is going to be one of two things that will galvanize Democrats. It's going to be abortion and Jan 6 democracy stuff. Okay, that won't be enough. Folks, Joe Biden is pro-Roe, and yet he's still losing an approval rating by 17% on the net. It's insane.
Clearly.
Look at Kamala Harris. She's all on some sort of substance, it seems. If you look at my cursor, her eyes are zoned out into somewhere. And that doesn't make sense to me because obviously there's cameras. You know where they are, Kamala. There's like a couple hundred politicians, Supreme Court justices, senators, congressmen. There's plenty of things to look at in that gallery. I've been there. But what you will notice is that like to stare off into the space, it's like not even cool.
Clearly. Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024.
That is bull jive. So when reproductive power was on the ballot in 2022, that the Democrats won, which is true. But then he also said that 2024, they'll win again. No, because, yeah, when it comes to pro-choice or not, that thing makes the Democrats win. Yes, just off of that. But if it's a whole tandem of, you know, abortion, immigration, it quickly becomes maybe the third to fifth most important issue out of like 10 possible ones. So when it becomes that, then clearly it's not a deal breaker for the vast majority of people. And it'd be one thing if, you know, Trump were just barely winning. At that point, you would say, okay, well, yeah, maybe abortion will split it for Biden, but not when everything else is broken. So, like, for example, a pertinent key to point out to would be, like, for instance, the 2000 election where the economy was pretty good. Everything was going fine under Clinton. Al Gore versus Bush. Abortion would make the difference. Now, in an election where everybody's looking at the prima facie evidence and just looking at how bad things are under Biden, they would say, okay, well, look, the abortion thing sucks for me as a pro-choice person, but a lot of them will still vote for Trump just based off everything else.
If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
Again, all these coughs showing age, not a good look for the people watching, the millions. And also, he says, I will restore Roe v. Wade. But then after saying that, he doesn't smile. He doesn't do a confident look at the camera. He just kind of goes like he looks pissed. Look at this. It's like he's lost. He's like, bro, he looks drunk. I don't know.
Folks, America cannot go back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward, because I know how far we come. 4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses? Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives, of loved ones, millions left behind? A mental health crisis of isolation.
What a gaslight. Remember all the crime? That had nothing to do with COVID. That was literal like Black Lives Matter, anarchy, and Antifa stuff. It had nothing to do with the virus itself. If anything, that drove crime down, obviously. So, I mean, again, just misconstruing things. Plus, I don't think mentioning crime when you're so disapproved on that facet by the American electorate, it seems like it's not a great idea to mention that, but
Isolation and
we'll see.
loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told.
That's not a confident way to say it. So instead of saying we have the biggest comeback ever, he's saying the biggest comeback never told. Maybe because it's not really a comeback. Okay, like for instance, let's say this. Let's say you're down 10 points in the football game at halftime and then you win it. That's a comeback because you won. But let's say you somehow, for whatever reason against your will, you were buzz cutted and then you grow the hair back. It's the greatest comeback ever. No, it isn't. You're back at square one at best, plus a lot of downtime in the meantime. Okay, now with the economy, let's say at best we're at where we were before COVID, which is not even true. That is still not even a comeback. It's just like, oh, okay, we're back to normal. It's not awesome. Comeback implies like we're winning something, okay, like a game. But if you're coming back to where you were before, it doesn't really matter. You wouldn't say like, I mowed my lawn. Oh, it's so pretty. It just came back to life. No, it didn't. You put it back to where it was before. It's not crazy.
So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot. We leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccine that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback.
Complete flip up on that paragraph, by the way.
That's what America does. That's what America does. Folks, my inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record.
Dude, again, do I need to spell it out? Clearly, these are the same jobs people had before, plus inflation, plus debt. This is just such a facetious argument.
Unemployment at 50-year lows.
It's bull jive, dude.
A record 16 million Americans are starting.
If unemployment's lower than it was under Trump, then how come the economic growth isn't matching it? I mean, common sense check.
Small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will.
Okay, again, the chairwoman or whatever of the Fed, I think her name is Janet Yellen. Okay, so under, what's his name? Biden, okay? So if he's bragging about the economy and the comeback, you would think she'd be smiling, smug, like Steve Mnuchin. No, she knows it's bullshit. Look at her expression. I know she's like too fat and old to like really be able to dictate what she feels, but just going off of like what this is, no confidence. Even Anthony Blinken, who's the Secretary of State under Joe, again, no confidence. Like he knows it's bullshit.
More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever before.
Okay, but as a percentage, what is it? Because there's more people than there were before too. So
the racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up. Inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world, and tending lower. The landing is and will be soft. And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Right here in America, where they belong. And it takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America
bullshit
has been
not
the law
true.
of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers.
That's a good talking point, but you're besettled by what? Okay, so he's basically promising jobs like in the next 5 to 10 years, but again, that's not within your lifetime, number one, probably. And two, I'm also going to say it, people that, I mean, if you don't see it in front of you as a voter who doesn't look into things, then, oh my God, okay, American jobs in 2028 or something. Okay, I mean, that's not coming soon enough. Frankly, it's not going to matter for the election.
Creating good paying American jobs. And thanks to our CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles. And by the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them, private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America. creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those.
Okay, that's not even true though, because if there are private firms investing in American products or American workers to make these products, then why would you have to make the CHIPS Act to actually do it? The fuck? So what is this? It's like saying, charity's going up, but I also force them, by the way. So then it's not charity. Oh, like these companies are doing it. Yeah, after you gave them money to do it.
Jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
That is fucking baloney. These jobs make you $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree. Okay, then how come I haven't heard of it? Really? You think all these guys working at Walmart haven't heard of this? Oh, yeah, no, this is so great. Bullshit.
In fact, my policies have attracted $650 billion in private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America.
See, I don't trust that number because it's like I've got this much since when, but as compared to what, like under Trump, was it more than that? Or I mean, I don't even know.
And thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernizing our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage. Providing affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in the family farm, led by my Secretary of Agriculture, who knows more about this than anybody I know, we're better able to stay in the family for those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. The great comeback story is Belvidere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office, and we raised the Belvidere repeatedly with auto companies, knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, a new state-of-the-art battery factory is being built to power those cars there at the same.
Electric vehicles, I don't think are that popular, and it's becoming obvious to the people that are buying them that it's not practical at all. I mean, electric cars just fucking suck, frankly, and the battery technology isn't there yet. Bottom line.
Your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs in the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvidere right here in America.
The Democrats just look soulless. Also, brother, my brother in Christ, what is this, by the way? I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm just pointing it.
Here tonight is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you?
A great Fenton?
And Dawn Sims, a third-generation UAW worker at Belvidere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line, and today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class.
Seems like some broke cope, by the way. Come on, dude. Why would the camera go on this angle? Folks, really? Come on. Like, sweetie, if you're going to look like this, just don't go. Just don't go on TV. This is just like, brother. Let's get a sense of decorum back in the fucking political realm, eh?
I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America.
Okay.
That's you, the American people. It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is bright. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
Okay, that was pretty good. Honestly, that's a pretty good political thing. But I will say, his age is showing because he bangs on the thing and then he kind of like loses sense of where he's at. I've noticed this. So basically, he'll finish saying something, he'll use all his brain power for it, and then he kind of like logs off for 5 seconds. He gets a blue screen. It's tough to describe, but that's basically what happened. He's like, boom. You know, and it's like not cool. It's not masculine. I don't know. And yeah, I mean, look, Joe Biden in 2012, again, when he was like in his prime, so to speak, would have been great at these sort of things, but now it's too late. See, this is telling. Mike Johnson this entire time has been smirking, kind of like knowing like this is a bunch of bullshit. Now, the reason why he's grimacing and smirking is because he knows that the Republicans have leverage over him and that Biden isn't doing shit and he's going to lose. That's why he's confident. Now, prior, Nancy Pelosi would see that Donald Trump, because Donald Trump not only was right, but because also he was awesome. And so she was jealous and like seething, like, oh my God, this motherfucker. Whereas with Mike Johnson, he's like, yeah, this guy sucks. Yeah, he's about to lose.
Tonight,
That sort of like pattern clapping is completely rehearsed, by the way.
tonight, I want to talk about the future of possibilities that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over, and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the United States combined. And I represent
More states in the United States combined. So I don't know what's
it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class.
That is bull jive, okay? Trickle down economics didn't put a lot on my dad's table. Okay. Okay, come on. Can we get a Snopes on that? Snopes check, because think about it. Okay, so Joe Biden was born 1942. So his dad's kitchen table would have been relevant, maybe like 1957 or something. So what trickle down economics were going down in 1957? I don't think it. And I mean, if there were, it wasn't invented then. Like it wasn't popularized then. Art Laffer with the Laffer curve popularized it well into the 70s. I think it wasn't even. It was a Reagan thing. It wasn't even a fucking Eisenhower thing. So to say like, oh, trickle down didn't feed my parent, dude, what? Like I get it. If you were 50 years old, that makes sense. But dude, you're 82. What?
Class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
What the fuck? He sounded confused when he said that.
With the law that I proposed and signed, not one of you Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit.
See, that's one thing that is good. Like politically, that is strong. You can't really argue that. That's fine.
And
That's the best thing he said all day.
What to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone.
Okay.
For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion.
Dude, Bernie's still with the COVID mask. Brother, dude, honestly, this guy's such a loser. I know so many people that liked this guy 8 years ago, and it's like, bro, really? I never was a fan. He sucked the whole
Because
time.
Medicare
Fucking idiot.
will no longer
Complete loser. Anyway, when it comes to what he just said, I cut the deficit by $160 billion. Bro, that is nothing. That is nothing. Okay, the deficit on a yearly basis, I think, is 1.9 trillion. Okay, so you cut 7% of the deficit for 1 year. That's like if you're gaining 20 pounds a year and you said, I cut it to 19 and a half pounds gained per year. That's like the same difference. Absurd to even brag about that, by the way.
have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market that treat everything from heart disease to arthritis.
Okay, now this is also cap because he's begging on your ignorance. First of all, he lies about the supply side economics, trickle down economics affecting his dad's life as if like he weren't 100 years old by this point, at least. Second of all, when it comes to what he just said, to the $160 billion he cut in the deficit due to saving money on the pharmacology stuff. Okay, well, when it comes to that, so basically Biden's asking me to believe that he forced the hands of the big pharma people with no consequence to anything other than to make it cheaper for people. And what, you think the $160 billion in difference in money was just eaten by those companies? Really? And also, companies work off of like competitive advantages, buying the newest technology, having as much money flowing in and out of the company at all times. So let's say you take $160 billion out of the economy and the profits of these companies. You think that nobody got laid off as a consequence? Really? So when it comes to that, or did they cut their research and development labs? I mean, what did they do? He's just saying like, oh, we saved $160 billion, but where did that money go? That's my question. Where did it go? Seriously, it doesn't work like the way he's telling you.
It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade. They're making a lot of money, guys. And they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone. Folks,
Again, this is all good politically. Now, I'm smart enough to know it's bullshit, but at least like the average layperson wouldn't be able to tell.
I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but anyone want to get in Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, well, even Moscow, probably.
Again, he's reading a teleprompter. He somehow fucked that up. Moscow. What city is close to Moscow in spelling or even like utterance? It doesn't even make sense.
And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very big deal.
So again, he just completely went on a tangent on accident.
Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. Well, my predecessor, and many in this chamber, want to take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen.
I'm not let that happen, bro. What?
I'm not going to let that happen.
I'm not let that happen? Say it ain't so, brother. What the fuck?
We stopped you 50 times before and we'll stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. The enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady. We'll pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space. Just for 2 years. And my administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters.
See, I mean, okay, so you're saving $1,000 on a mortgage. So again, a mortgage is what, like averaging 300 grand a year. Sorry, $300,000 per house, let's say on average in the US. Okay, so you're saving $1,000. So you are looking at inflation, housing inflation, basically making a house go up tens of thousands of dollars over the Biden administration. And as your consolation prize, you will save up to $1,000. Okay, your housing, I mean, your mortgage just went up 50 grand if you're trying to buy a house, but you might save 1,000. Great, dude. That's not going to fucking fix anything.
We're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by price
who use break in again. So get it together.
Fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide.
See, that sounds impressive until you understand that things are still getting worse. So let's say that 1.7 million houses per year is that impressive. First of all, you have to keep in mind that under Trump, what was it? I have no idea, but it was probably, let's say, like 1.3 or something, like somewhere close. If the issue is getting a lot worse, you need a lot more. So instead of 1.7, make it 3 to 5 million. But no.
Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rents down. To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world. And I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start. by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. You know, I
That's a
think I pointed
stretch.
out last year.
Also, consider all the gender nonsense they're teaching like 6-year-olds. You really want to chance that with a 3 or 4-year-old? I mean, that's like really bad. That is actually, if they do the LGBT education on toddlers, that is exponentially worse than doing it as like a preteen. Honestly, that makes all the difference. And parents are going to really struggle to correct people and their children. You're sending your kid to a public preschool and they get taught about gender stuff at a young age, or taught that they aren't really a boy or something. I mean, that is actually ludicrous. I mean, that is a horrible idea. And preschool on paper, let's say if Obama were bringing it up 10 years ago prior to all this gay stuff, I mean, that would be decent as an idea. Maybe it would help a lot. But I mean, at this clip, I don't trust it.
I think I pointed out last year that children.
Also, we have a teacher problem. We don't have enough teachers, right? Okay. Do you really think there's going to be people jumping in line to become preschool teachers? No.
From broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often. Start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard a million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2 and 4 year degree, no matter what their background is. I met a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry. I think, well, they were discussing why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president. I met with over I think it was 182 of those folks. Don't hold me the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high-quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade.
Okay, that anecdote had nothing to do with what he said after, or at least like it didn't connect well. He just didn't. I mean, that was just a complete fuck up. And then he says that he wants private tutoring or whatever, summer tutoring for everybody. There's not enough people to do this, by the way. I mean, it's just not logistically even possible.
I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience and a path to a good-paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure the college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs and minority-serving institutions, including Hispanic institutions.
Okay, look, that is a popular position to expand Pell Grants. I think that'd be really easy to ship politically. That's fine. And I would appreciate that as a college student. But again, debt, economy, it's not great. Plus, when is he going to get that done? I don't know. Plus, keep in mind that he's saying he's going to fund HBCUs and Hispanic universities or whatever. Look, that's not going to be popular with most people because most people aren't those minorities, hence the term minority. So I don't know if that really is helping your case.
When I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. Like Keenan Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you? Keenan, thank you. He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help, after debt forgiveness, get his own daughter to college. And folks, look. Such relief is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise.
Okay. First of all, that's the first time you actually saw Kamala excited the whole time. But second of all, he's saying, I'm going to fix the student loan thing so that people can buy a house. Now, that sounds good, but think about it this way. The average student has what, maybe 25 grand in student loan debt? Maybe. Okay, so if you fix the student loans, and by that he means like increase the Pell Grants, that would make it maybe lower the average debt rate to like 20,000 instead of 25. And then when we do that, okay, so you're saving people like 5 grand. Now, how much have housing gone up? How much have mortgages gone up in the last 4 years? Well, under Biden, the average house has gone up like 50 grand. So what does that mean? That means that that's over double the difference of the average student loan. Plus, besides that even being true about the debt in its entirety, he's not even going to fix the student loan debt by like forgiving all of it. So even if he forgave all student loans, that would still not make up for the increased housing prices. It wouldn't. So when it comes to your housing going up 50 grand in his tutelage, in his term, that he says, oh, well, I'm going to do this like niche thing with insurance so that you save $1,000 on a mortgage that's worth like 300 grand. So he's fixing that by 0.3%. Or when it comes to raising prices by $50,000, he's going to like take away maybe 5 grand in your debt out of student loans. And oh, there you go, buy a house. No, it doesn't work that way.
And by the way, the first couple of years, we cut the deficit. Now, let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion.
That's bullshit. Look at his eyes. He knows that's not true. He knows that's not true. Look at him flare up, dude. Look at that. He's like, you really just said that? It's like if I said, hey, guys, I'm 8 feet tall, by the way. It's like, dude, no, not come on. Really? I'd be on TV. But when it comes to Kamala, again, she full of shit. You know, they're full of shit.
I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal
He's shaking his head. He's being respectful, but it's like, dude, come on.
to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share.
What a duplicitous thing to say. Okay, so Joe Biden, as far as I know, has not raised taxes yet, but he spent more money and then is claiming that he cut the deficit. It doesn't make sense. It literally, it's like saying, I'm eating more calories and I'm not working out, but I'm also losing weight. No, you're not. I mean, make it make sense, dog.
Look, I'm a capitalist. If you want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things to make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut. Overwhelmingly benefit the topping 1%, the very wealthy, the biggest corporations.
The topping 1%?
And exploded the federal deficit. They added more.
Dude, that is a bull jive. It exploited the federal deficit. That's bullshit. Bullshit. Joe Biden's deficits are higher than Trump's, and he hasn't even lowered taxes. Trump did, and the deficit wasn't as bad. Look at this guy who was Trump's like Surgeon General or whatever. Look at how cocky he is. He knows Biden's full of shit.
To the national debt in any presidential term in American history. Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure
Again, that's lying. So that what $2 trillion wasn't just to them. He's saying it as if it were, though.
don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet. In fact,
Now, doing it so that it's up to $400,000 basically takes care of everybody that you would know at a public school, for example, their parents. Nobody's making more than 400 grand. So that tax cut, basically getting rid of the Trump tax cuts in this case is not that unpopular, maybe, because he's really giving a ton of leeway here.
the child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half. Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country. The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero. Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%.
So these political talking points are okay with the public, but obviously don't work in real life.
Corporations finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that can be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
That's a strong talking point. Again, it's not true because obviously they're investing into the economy, whereas a teacher hardly is. I mean, proportionately, I mean, who's hiring everyone? Who's buying all the buildings? Who's making, I mean, come on. I mean, it's just obvious.
propose a minimum tax for billionaires of 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine a future of home care and elder care, and people living with disabilities so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block.
That's such a fucking bull. See, even this redhead's like, dude, no. Like, what? Like, clearly that's just bullshit. Yeah, like 10 years ago they were trying that, but it didn't work. So, I mean, that's just a bad characterization. And I mean, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene looking like a fucking idiot.
Anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise your retirement age, I will stop you. The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair.
Yeah, because they don't get... Dude, Jesus Christ, bro. He lies.
We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh, no. You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealth. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security.
Okay, that doesn't work. That literally doesn't work. So he says something that's a lie. They correct him. He's like, oh, okay. So then why'd you even lie? Why? Dude, that doesn't... He has like no fucking idea what he's doing, is what I gotta say.
Make the wealthy pay their fair share. Look.
How many fucking times does he say, make them pay the fair share? He said it 15 times at this point, at least. If I took a shot every time he said it, I'd be dead.
Too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations engaged in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice if they change the size of the bag and put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this. I really mean it. You probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, I don't know, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees, those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8.
Okay, so these are good deals, or sorry, good proposals, obviously, like with the public, but it's not enough to, as a deal breaker. I mean, if you were going to say, why are you voting for Biden? You're like, well, he'll like lower my student loan debt by like 15%, and he'll actually make mortgages like 1/3% cheaper, and he'll also get rid of like the airline ticket tax. I mean, it's like, dude, okay. I mean,
banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection, and that's more a hell of a lot, like $8.30 some. They don't like it. Credit card companies don't like it. But I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm eliminating. Folks at home, that's why the banks are so mad. It's $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration has proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front, so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiations with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more assignments.
Wait a second, folks. He says it's the most rigorous and strongest immigration bill ever. First of all, not true. Not even top 5 even off the top of my head, but 2. He says we will hire 100 more immigration judges to deal with the 2 million asylum cases or whatever. What the fuck? That's not going to fix anything. Wait a minute. So you're going to have 100 judges to deal with 20 extra thousand cases per judge of migrants. So if you divide 2 million by 100, that's 20 grand each. So you're saying each judge you hire will fix 20,000 cases on their own to even break even with what you were saying in the first place? That is fucking nuts. That's nuts. You're going to hire 1,500 new border agents. That's not enough. That's not enough. You're going to grow the force by like 5%. That doesn't fix the fundamental issues. When immigration illegally is up double or triple than what it was under Trump, you can't just increase the border patrol by like 5% or increase the amount of judges by some small percentage and then just assume it's going to fix jack squat. That is fucking ridiculous. Like seriously, it's appalling. I can't even believe that's a proposal. I didn't even know that. That's nothing. That soundbite in and of itself, 100 judges to deal with 2 million cases. That is absurd, folks. That is, if you know anything about law, I'm trying to be a lawyer, that's not mathematically possible for them to deal with that many people. It just isn't mathematically there. It's not possible.
Asylum officers and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now.
Okay, resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years. That's a 10 times difference. You're adding 100 judges. That's not a 10 times difference in the amount of personnel. So how does this even make sense? It doesn't.
What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives and bring order to the border. It will also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is...
Mike Johnson is shaking his head like crazy.
I know you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win, he viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him, it's not about me. I'd be a winner, not really.
What? What was that fuck up, dude? What?
A political loser for him. It's not about him, it's not about me.
Here's where you say it's not about him, it's not about me, it's about the American people. What does he say?
I'd be a winner, not really.
I'd be a winner, not really. He just said he wouldn't be a winner. It'd be about us. That's like the implication. That's what he was going to read off the teleprompter, but he fucked it up. And so he's like, oh, I'd be a winner. Wait, actually, not really.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed.
Her name is Laken Riley. He's calling her Lincoln. He literally has the fucking name right here. And he still messes it up.
By an illegal. That's right. But how?
Now that's, again, he's so old that he'll refer to an illegal alien or undocumented migrant, as the left likes to call them. He says it's by an illegal. So again, he says something that's kind of like offensive because he's so out of it that he can't even be politically correct, even though like his super ego would like make him do it. It is like, nah, it's like the equivalent if you said the blacks instead of like African American. So he just said an illegal, killed by an illegal. So first of all, 2 flop ups. He says, this is Lincoln Riley. It's Laken. It was a girl that was killed. Why would her name be Lincoln like Abraham? That makes no sense. Second of all, he says an illegal. That's not cool with the side.
How many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks.
Just bullshit. Look at this black guy. What was his name? Byron Donalds? And nigga be like, nah, dog, that's not true.
I would respectfully say.
What a king, bro. You know, it's like so wrong. You're like you're not even mad. You're just like, dude, come on. It's like the biggest crock of shit ever, really. Okay, so he's promising making the time of these judgments going from 6 years to 6 weeks or whatever. 6 months to 6 weeks. Not possible.
To suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now.
Suffer, Joe. Not going to happen. Suffer, bitch.
And if my predecessor is watching, instead of paying politics and pressuring...
Instead of paying politics, you mean playing politics.
...members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together, but what he apparently here's what he will not do. I will not.
Wait, what?
But that's what he apparently here's what he will not do.
That's apparently what he hear, but he not do. What?
I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country.
Okay, there you go. Okay, he's in his bag. Let's see.
I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border.
All these what?
Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and so much more. But unlike my predecessor,
He announced the list as if it were like at least 4 things he said too.
I know who we are as Americans. And we're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans whose ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of every place, from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution. To chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from somewhere. But we're all Americans.
He's not sick, by the way. He's just old.
Look, folks, we have a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it.
Okay, that's a good line.
I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. A transformational moment in history happened.
He was about to say the transformational, and then he says what?
A transformational moment in history happened.
He's misread. Like, how many times has he fucked up the teleprompter? Like 10?
59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John
Left for dead, bro.
Lewis, was on that march. We miss him. But joining us tonight are other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma, the daughter of gospel singers and preachers. She sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law.
Okay, what does this have to do with anything?
Thank you.
Just black gimmies or whatever?
9 years later, their force has taken us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering.
Oh, dude, really? Dark money? Wow. Okay, so think about it. Democrats outspend Republicans in general by like a factor of like 3 to 1. And he's going to say that the dark money's on the Republican side? Why? Like just the gall just to lie.
John Lewis is a great friend to many of us here. But if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes who marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act. The
No.
Lewis Voting Rights Act.
No.
And stop denying another core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights.
Wait, hold on. Think about it. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. The Republicans are banning books that are made like this decade about like trans and gay or whatever. That has nothing to do with history. It's not like they're going to Huckleberry Finn and like deleting it. It's not like they're like banning Moby Dick and like stuff that are fiction that's important in history, or even like books about whatever, pick your Civil War, whatever. They're not banning those books. They're banning books about gender education, transgender stuff. What is that having to do with history? That's a misconflation at best.
Pass the Equality Act. And my message to transgender Americans, I have your back. Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage, because every worker has a right to a decent living more than $7 an hour. We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it. I don't think any of you think there's no longer a climate crisis. At least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world.
Bull
I'm
jive.
cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBEW workers building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And taking action on environmental justice fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. And patterned after the Peace Corps and America Corps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade.
Dude, what is wrong with Donkey Face? Sorry, but like, I mean, she's cute, but it's not a good angle. Yikes.
To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. Year before I took office, murder rates.
Look at Mike Johnson, bro. It's some bull job. It's smelling like some bullshit in the house.
Went up 30%. 30% they went up.
The fuck did he just say? Huh?
Took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was
Okay, this guy's gay.
then through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted.
I hate that, by the way. Whoever that was probably a Republican. But seriously, that's so fucking stupid. So tacky. I hate that.
Against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking. Keep building trust, as they've been doing by taking executive action on police reform and calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or having it on their record. Take on crimes of domestic violence. I'm ramping up the Federal Enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator, so we can finally end the scourge against women in America. There are other kinds of violence I want to stop. With us tonight is Jasmine, whose 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it.
Okay, how come?
Meanwhile, thank you.
Okay, how come he says something that he's doing to like help somebody who's like traumatized by a shooting, like this girl in the pink or purple, and he says it, and then she doesn't respond at all. Like either she's insane, which I can believe due to the hair and everything else, but also probably because whatever he did was bullshit and it was just like a paper move.
Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president.
That's such a mischaracterization.
Oh. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it.
That is such a dude, what a lie, bro. I don't even know what he's referring to, but come on, as if he would ever say that, man. What a fucking bastard for saying that.
There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Pass universal background checks. None of this. I taught the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners. You know, as we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest
What? Huh? What? Dude, what?
day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home. We also we will also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza. has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas. Thousands and thousands of innocent women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighbors in rubble, cities in ruin. Families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day. And Israel must do its part. Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. They're announcing they're going to have a crossing in northern Gaza. To the leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time. And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here.
Bullshit.
I'm the only American president to visit Israel in wartime, but there is no other path that can.
I'm the only U.S. president to visit Israel during wartime. Yeah, because there was no fucking war for Trump or for Bush. What a dumb thing to say, as if that's special.
Guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There's no other path that guarantees that Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. And there's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel. For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America is falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China
Our GTP? You mean GDP?
is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South.
Bro, what is this aesthetic on like this? Like what the hell is that? What the hell is this? Or I mean this. Like what the hell am I looking at? This guy looks constipated.
Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the conflict of the 21st century against China than anyone else, for that matter, than any time as well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. There's more to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh? Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children online. Harness the promise of AI to protect us from peril. Ban AI voice impersonations and more. And keep our truly sacred obligation to train and equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home and when they don't.
That's vague.
That's why, with the strong support and help of Dennis and the VA, I signed the PACT Act, one of the most significant laws ever, helping millions of veterans exposed to toxins who now are battling more than 100 different cancers. Many of them don't come home, but we owe them and their families support. We owe it to ourselves to keep supporting our new health research agency called ARPA-H, and remind us that we can do big things, like end cancer as we know it, and we will.
It's bullshit, straight up.
Our new health research agency called ARPA-H, and remind us that we can do big things, like end cancer as we know it, and we will.
Yeah, so I mean, playing that back, I mean, it's just a crock of nonsense there. Wow.
Let me close with this. Yeah.
That's brutal. You know, that reminds me when you had like a substitute teacher and you're like, okay, I'm going to end class with this. And everybody's like, yes, you get to leave 5 minutes early. Dude, that was pitiful. That's so pathetic.
I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while.
What an ugly smile this guy has. Holy fucking balls, man. What the hell? Shameful.
At my age, certain things become clearer than ever.
What?
I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation, between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now, other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution, that's not me. I was born amid World War II when America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Claymont, Delaware, among working class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And their legacies inspired me to pursue a career in service.
Oof, yikes.
I left the law firm and became a public defender because my city of Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then vice president of our first black president.
Oh, what a victim. Oh, I was a senator before I was 30. Bro, that was an ambition of yours, you fucking asshole. He's just begging ignorance from people.
Now president to the first women vice president.
Now president to the first woman vice president? That's not how it works. He's being submissive to Kamala inherently. Look at that fucking smile. Self clap. Oh, what the fuck? What? Dude, what is this? Man, what?
In my career, I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke. And I've been told I'm too old. Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal and deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now. I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy. My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution.
It's not how old we are. It's how old our ideas. Huh?
Are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas. It'll only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Tonight you've heard mine. I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes.
Yikes.
I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans.
Why repeat that 3 times?
I believe in you, the American people.
Why did he point at the sky?
You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so what do we rate the speech? So my analysis is that I was expecting a 4 out of 10, and we got it like a 3. That was really bad. Not only did he have a ton of mistakes, but it went on too long, in my opinion, and that might be saying a lot. But also, he just sucks. Politically, he's not there. He's senile. I mean, it's really obvious. 80% of his proposals were garbage, and the other 20% that sounded good were all bullshit. The best you could say is like, he's getting rid of like junk fees or like something like that. But I mean, that's not really, we're dealing with a 20-something trillion dollar economy, not, okay, so wow, he's going to cut 20 billion in fees. I mean, that really is just a piss in the bucket. So it's not really anything there. And then with respect to like the crowd reactions, I mean, it's not looking good. And, he's down 17% in approval. And I don't honestly think that this is going to help it at all. Like, at all. So complete Biden L. Are we surprised? Ladies and gentlemen, are we surprised? I mean, that was freaking terrible. Anyway, see y'all in the next one. Adios.